Hello, everybody, and welcome to 38 Weeks to Go. And this episode is the first interview of the season. I am excited to present Pambana Kihoro, manager of Dreadiacs. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Nash. It's an honor to join you for this episode. I'm a keen listener. Have been since you told me about this show, so I'm really looking forward to this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very excited that finally, the group expanded so quickly, and it's been hard to get hold of the weekly leader. So I'm really happy that somebody I know became a weekly leader. So congratulations.
Definitely. You probably need to set up like a Facebook group or WhatsApp group so that you can actually get in touch with guys when they do lead.
Yeah, that's actually in the plan. I'm going to do that.
Superb.
So now, tell me, how do you come up with your team name?
All right. So Dreadiacs is basically a compound word. Dread, because I've got dreadlocks. Eax, because I'm a maniac.
Okay. So the dreadlocked maniac.
Basically.
I can get behind that.
Yeah. Basically.
Okay. So tell me now.
Yeah.
This team of yours and your 99 points.
Yeah.
What is the trick behind it? How did you get there?
All right.
What had you seen that all of us know?
My team this season has actually been really challenging. Okay. Kind of like settled down now. But I'll start off with the way I started off this season. This season I started off with Isaac, Gordon, Odegaard, Haaland. I rejected Salah. But the way that I ended up getting to 99 points is I was relatively quick to get rid of Haaland. I think I got rid of Haaland after gameweek 7. And obviously, if you're getting rid of Haaland, you bring in Salah. And also, that allowed me to do the other big thing, which was to bring in Saka. One of the reasons why I ended up with 99 points this week is that I did try bringing Odegaard back, and Odegaard really let me down. I thought that the Ipswich game was a game that Odegaard is going to come back to his 2022, 2023 Odegaard, but this guy was just like, I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it. So my transfers this last week were Gordon in for Odegaard. Gordon will started scoring again because, as I said, I had him in the beginning of the season and he was doing nothing for me at the beginning of the season. And I brought in...
Yep, I was there.
Yeah, you were also there, right? I also brought in Isaac. I brought Isaac, I think, last week or the week before the Man United game. And I'm a Man United fan. But let's just say, look, a sudden amount of pragmatism that basically led me to bring Isaac into the team. So I brought Isaac the other week. The other player I got rid of was Nico Jackson. I took out Nico Jackson for Cody Gakpo.
Good move.
Yeah. If I had stuck with Nico Jackson and with Odegaard, I'd have ended up with 10 more points. So really on the transfer front, right? Probably the two most solid transfers that I've done. So taking out Jackson for Gakpo and taking out Odegaard for Gordon has basically brought me 10 more points than I would have had. So it's a solid transfer. I'm pretty happy with those two transfers, really.
Okay, well that's well done, because I looked at your team and I was like, goodness, 99 and your team, and I was just like, I saw Ahmad on the bench and I was like, oh, I'm not the only one. So 9 points.
Man United fan of little faith. Actually, you know what? I have a bit of a theory. Okay, I have a bit of a theory about the Premier League this year, right? And my theory is this: the big guns at the big clubs are firing, apart from Nottingham Forest. I'm going to come back to Nottingham Forest in a second. But Salah is firing for Liverpool. At Chelsea, you have Palmer firing for them. Saka has been firing for Arsenal. If you take out those 3 players from those 3 teams, would Nottingham Forest be leading the Premier League right now? Okay. That's my big theory, really. I think that this is the season of one-team wonders as far as I'm concerned. Man United don't have that. Man United, in fact, the less said about Man United generally, the better. But Man United's leadership and goal scoring up front, there are several issues. They don't. It's like they've never understood the concept of defending a corner. A whole lot of issues there. Man City and defending seems to have been, I don't know, they sacked defending. I think when there was a player they got rid of, one of the defenders this season. Do you know the one I'm talking about? Laporte.
Yes, Laporte.
So Laporte, Man City letting him go, I will never understand because they seem really weak at the back. And without Rodri also, it's like they can barely go forward. I think this season is one of the hardest seasons to play. And also at the same time, probably one of the easiest because there are a lot of one-man teams. You're not getting teams you're not getting teams scoring from like all over the place. Can go as far as Brentford. I know that the team has scored quite a few goals, but really they're heavily reliant on Wissa and Buemo, which is odd, really, I think, for a lot of seasons in the past. You'd get them quite a few players like chasing each other, but I don't know. That's my theory anyway.
I have a differing theory,
Go ahead.
and it is that okay, this is a bit of a bigger picture thing, and I think that we are getting into an era where players don't matter as much as managers do.
Oh,
And the manager's will slash tactics is what matters. And
oh,
like, for example, with Man City,
yeah,
looking at Man City, this guy has his rules and his system that he wants people to apply.
directly. Yeah,
So like now he has nobody to replace Rodri.
yeah.
And it sort of breaks everything that he wants to do because he doesn't have a Rodri replacement. In the past,
So it's Calvin Phillips. I mean, like, let's be honest. There's Calvin Phillips 2 years. Let go.
you know, he had Fernandinho in the past, and when Fernandinho was injured, nothing.
Yes, you're right.
And then before that, it was Company.
Mm,
When Company was gone, Man City were done. And so he
Yeah.
overcorrected, and he had like Ruben Diaz, Laporte, Akanji, Ake,
yes.
and he sort of needs to do that for the Rodri position as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so like now, if you look at a guy like Grealish,
Yeah.
he's no longer the player he used to be
Yes. Definitely.
because he used to be Savinho.
Has Grealish been found since they won the treble? Was it like that guy went on a bender and has just never come back?
He's retired. There's
I will never understand what happened to that guy. But I guess, for him coming from a Villa, though, to come back
and
to a Man City team and win the treble.
yeah, something needs to change. So I'm thinking that this window will be very important for them, especially if they're able to replace the
Rodri.
defensive work. There's
Yeah.
Jacobs Zubimendi, but I don't know.
I also have another theory on top of that. And I used to really watch the Premier League in the 90s and early 2000s, right? And in fact, I used to watch football pretty much all over Europe, especially during that time. And I'd say that one of the things that about modern day football is I don't think players are either A, as good as they used to be, okay, or B, defenses and midfields have become so much better, right? That they're making players who would have been amazing back in those days, they're making them look ordinary. I'm not convinced by B. I'm more convinced by A.
It's tying into my theory
Yeah.
because we moved into systems over individualism.
Yes.
So like Grealish used to be Savinho. If you look at Savinho in like 2 years, he'll be like
Yeah.
Grealish.
Yes.
And that's the problem Doku is having right now.
Yeah.
He's somewhere in between those two players.
I mean, like,
And so what you're saying is true.
yeah, you're right. You're very right. As in, like, now the system now is all that matters after that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Run forward,
even
keep possession, tiki taka.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I mean, like, so basically, what you're saying is that Pep Guardiola killed football all over the world.
yeah. He transformed it, he revolutionized it, but not for its betterment,
Yes.
to its detriment.
Yeah.
So like now, you have skilled players, but then as soon as they'll move to a really good club, they will go. So like, you have the Napoli guy, Kvaratskhelia.
Yes.
Very few people like him now,
Mm.
and not because they're not being made, but it's this whole academy product thing that's happening.
Yeah.
All academies are trying to have this system that they want to play. They employ at a youth level, and then it just kills the creativity out of these guys.
Kills the creativity, kills the expression, the natural expression of players. When I was talking about that period of football, right?
Yeah.
In my head right now, I'm thinking about like you can go through like names, right? You can go like through like Zidane, Figo, Deco. You'll end up at Ronaldo, obviously, old Ronaldo, not new age Ronaldo, who was also
Phenomenal.
Exactly. Ronaldo's balance is probably the best I've ever seen. any player who has ever played the game. Ronaldinho, as in like you can't even forget that one. As in like the guy used to pass the ball with his back. As in you can't find like people who are able to express themselves on a football pitch in that same way. And by the way, as in like I've said that, and you could go through English football and come up with like about 15, 20 names. Where I work now, got an Everton fan there.
Yeah.
And I mean like back in the day, Everton were a decent team, right? But the players that they used to have, Tony Cottee, Duncan Ferguson, Kevin Carter, right?
Kadematu.
Do, do you remember those guys? As in like proper old school guys, right? Those were guys who could basically get you anything between 10 to 18 goals, depending on how good a season they're having.
Sure.
If Everton, a team like Everton was to go into the market right now, try and find a person who would get them 10 to 18 goals. Who could they get? I mean, like United have spent 72 million on Rasmus Højlund.
Yeah.
And obviously he's not doing it. Who can Everton get?
And that's the thing. We're living in an era where it's almost like there are no good strikers anymore. But also I believe that Messi and Cristiano sort of killed strikers because that whole wing striker thing changed what people were doing going forward. And now,
just being a clinical finisher, just doing.
Chris Wood is looking like he's Christian Vieri.
Yeah, another example, Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, he's not having a good.
He's not only is he not having a good year, he's not had a good year since he moved to England. And do you remember how people were singing his praises? Now, Liverpool, that's at Liverpool, right? A Liverpool team that creates like a nonsense. How many goals has he got? What, 3 this season?
Yeah, it's laughable.
And he cannot score. So for me, I think the point I'm making is this, right? Just on the Premier League level, if big teams are going out to spend all this money on top of the level strikers who cannot score, what does that mean for teams further down?
Just like you talked about Everton earlier, it just means you go into your academy and you just promote whoever's there. Like this Ndiaye guy that they have.
Yes.
You just promote him and you say, okay, boy, show us what you got.
Yeah. And the issue after that is people like that showing you what they've got, not going to be much, or rather, it might not be enough. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. It might not be enough.
Because that's what Brighton did.
Yeah.
And short of that, you go to the championship and you find the next Gyökeres, because that's what he was found.
Yeah.
In Coventry.
And even him, I feel as if like he just fell perfectly into Amorim's system.
Exactly.
I'm not convinced. There's a lot of rumors about Man United going out to get Gyökeres, and I'm not convinced he'll do well in the Premier League. I'm not yet convinced. Yes, he has scored the most goals in Europe, bar none, etc., right?
Oh.
I'm not convinced he would be the next Darwin Núñez.
And that's the thing. It's all about, and like you see, I was talking about systems. It's all about the manager.
Yeah.
And that's the problem your team is having right now, is that your manager wants to play a certain style, but he's ill-equipped.
And these players have been, all these players have been brought up playing another system.
Yeah, another system. I think it's the 4th system they're playing now.
Yeah. Like there's a capacity to adapt, capacity to, what's that phrase? It's not just adaptation. Now, when you need to be able to express yourselves on a football pitch within a system, becomes a challenge.
Yeah. And so you have this thing where, like, for example, Ten Hag's first season, he comes in, he sees what he has, he realizes he can't play the football he wants to play. So he's sort of just, he's like, okay, I'm just going to use what you have and we'll go with it.
Yeah.
And for the best part of it, you guys did well. And then the next season, he's like, okay, now we're going to implement my football.
Yeah.
And that crumbled. And so now his ego failed him. And it's what eventually led him to get sacked. And now I'm wondering if Amorim is going to go through the same thing, because how much patience do you guys have?
And I'm not going to lie. I have a lot of patience for, okay, I'll give you, as a Man United fan, let me give you my prognosis of Man United, right? It was a huge mistake getting Harry Maguire. And yes, he might work out well within, or better, might work out better within a system. Yeah, in a back three. Okay. But getting Harry Maguire at 80 million was a huge mistake. And I remember that year, actually, we were also in the running for Delete, and I wanted Delete. In fact, I would have demanded Harry Maguire at 40 million. You understand?
Yeah, it's a price.
Yeah.
It's like Anthony. He's really a 30 million player, but 100 is too much.
And I'm sorry, at that point, you might as well just go back into your academy. You understand? And Man United,
Yeah.
what has happened? What has really, really happened is we've got owners who know nothing about football, very, very happy to take as much money out of Manchester United, the corporation possibly can. And for them, when they hear, like, we need to basically improve the team so we can win the Champions League, they're right. All right, here you are. Have the money. There's no consideration about what that money is doing in terms of improving the team or not, from their point of view. I've never been impressed by Man United's owners from the time they took over all the way back in 2004-05.
Oh, when the Glazers came over.
Yeah, I've never been impressed by them. And
What about the new owner?
if you look, huh? I'm actually, in fairness, I'm willing to give Jim Ratcliffe a bit more space and a bit more time. At least they are involved. At least Ineos are involved. At least they seem to want to basically put their, I don't say their money. They don't seem to have much money, but that's not the issue altogether. But at least they're willing to be hands-on in involvement.
Yeah, they seem to be downsizing everything.
Yeah, and even the ticket prices and everything like that. I know that Man United fans are up in arms about that. I don't go to games, unfortunately. That's a luxury that's not afforded in my direction. But
How far away are you from Manchester?
I am actually about an hour away.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not far. But yeah, that's I've got a family to take care of, me. Football game, but an absolute luxury.
I get it. I understand.
Yeah, but I'm fine with the news. The Glazers, though, how they were allowed, they've gone away with murder, as far as I'm concerned. And part of the problem is they're like, we want to get that player, but because they've got no infrastructure, or rather, a manager is like, we need to get a defender. The infrastructure around a manager for them to basically have the team operate and for negotiations to be of help for a Man United, for the Manchester United team, in order for them not to spend 40 million on Maguire instead, rather than spending 80 million on Maguire, didn't exist. They just kept on getting ripped off. And now we're in a ridiculous situation where we can barely afford a player.
I know. How do you feel about Rashford?
Now, I was going to say, now this is the second aspect about my problems with Man United. Man United and selling players. Marcus Rashford should have been sold after that 30 goals in a season that he scored. This might sound silly in relation to what I was saying about, good players, but I have not been convinced by Marcus Rashford at all. And I'll tell you why. His decision making in almost every single game I've seen of his since 2017 has always been sporadic. When I say sporadic, it's as in like, a good striker may get a pass wrong, right? May get a shot off target, right? They can do all of that. But Marcus Rashford in particular, for me, I feel has always been weak in his decision making across the board. Whether it's like slowing down the game too much, can't cross. I've never been convinced by Marcus Rashford. I think he's a good player. I think he'd be a good player for someone like Crystal Palace. You understand?
That's fair.
Yeah. But
Because when I look at your team, I'm just like, if you guys could get rid of Fernandes and him, I think it allows your manager to make free decisions. Because, for example, I know Fernandes is a good player, but I feel like his best manager was Solskjaer, and ever since that, he's never been the same.
I actually think Fernandes can be useful if Fernandes can be man-managed. That pass that he delivered this last weekend against Liverpool, right, for Lindelof's goal.
Yeah.
There are very few players who can deliver that pass. The bad side of Fernandes is not the red card even that he got, is when he gets angry and the man can barely think.
He switches off.
You don't even know if it's switching off. It's more like he's just so angry at the world, as in like he doesn't care about football anymore. As in like, I don't know. You know what happens to him sometimes, man? It's ridiculous. It's diabolical stuff. I've got a lot more sympathies for Fernandes because of that capacity to execute that pass. As I said, few players would have been able to deliver that pass for Lindelof. Very few players on this planet. And because he can, I'm willing to let him off. He just needs to understand that he needs to keep is cool and be able to play football and not get pissed off in the bloody 20th minute because the ball has not been passed to him or because he has shot wide. And now it's just like, you know what? To hell with this. I'm a libero and I'll do whatever the hell I want on this pitch for the rest of the time. And as in, like, that's a nonsense that pisses me off about him. But I think he's a phenomenal. I think he's a really good football player a lot of the time. Defensively, can be awkward, very very awkward defensively. And you go through the rest of the team really, and I think that I'll tell you one of the things I would love Amorim to try. I would love to see Amorim trying Anthony and Garnacho as wing backs. I know that sounds awkward.
What's wrong with Ahmad there? I thought Ahmad did wonderfully great as a right back.
Yeah, as a wing back, he was really, really good. I know. I think a lot of people thought he'd be taken back to the wing back position, right? But I understand why he wants him further forward because we're having such difficulty creating goals. Yeah, exactly, right? If he's the only like forward who's capable of scoring from Man United now, then you probably want him further forward because we're having such difficulty getting goals.
And the thing that he does that nobody else does is that he runs and he's constantly defending. He puts pressure. And that's what he does, the thing that Rashford will not do.
Exactly.
Presses.
That's part of the reason why I don't like Rashford. I've never been convinced by his effort at times, especially like some big games, some finals against Villarreal, for example. I was just like, mate, you're playing in a final. I'm not convinced that you think that you know you're playing in a final. But I would really like to see Anthony and Garnacho being given a chance on left wing back and Anthony on the right wing back. Anthony, I think, can possibly do it, right?
Yeah.
Anthony,
everything.
yeah.
He has everything to succeed on the right wing without pressure.
Yeah.
It's just that price tag is too much.
To just let it go, right? As in, like, that's a big issue. I think that the thing with Anthony, right, is he feels as if he has to impress. So he's always trying to do nonsense. That guy needs to watch like Cristiano Ronaldo videos, like 2004, circa 2004, right? Cristiano Ronaldo used to try and do a lot of the same stuff, you know, pulling off tricks, trying to play tricks, and productivity at the end was always dubious, right?
Yeah.
And it was Ferguson's training, Ferguson's man management that got Cristiano Ronaldo understanding all these things that you can do and want to do on a football pitch. Oh, well and good. It looks pretty, yeah. But if that ball doesn't end up in the back of the net, it's pointless. And Cristiano Ronaldo from, like, I want to say 2005-06 season, it clicked in his head. So every now and then, Cristiano Ronaldo will pull off a trick here and there, but Cristiano Ronaldo came to understand that ball must end up at the back of the net. Anthony has not understood that yet. You understand? Your productivity has to match, or rather, your tricks and tricks have to end up in being productive.
With something.
Okay?
Every time I see Anthony, the thing that comes to mind is that Arsenal game. Do you remember his face?
The first one that he played? Like, the Man United one, like, 2-0.
No. It was recent, like maybe last season, towards the end, when he had this face like he was coming on to kill all the Arsenal players, and then he proceeded to do nothing.
Yeah,
It was
about to start a fight.
Yeah, it was comedy.
Yeah. You know, the thing is, as in, like, I think Anthony needs to be told that the only thing you need to do in this game is go down that line, stay on that line, deliver a cross. I don't care whether the cross is on target or not. Just deliver the cross. Okay? Deliver. If you want to play on the right, deliver a cross. Do not come inside and shoot. If you come inside and shoot, you'll be taken off immediately. I feel as if like that's a kind of harsh love that Anthony needs. Or put him on the left, take off Dalot, and put him on the left wing back position. And because obviously he's weak on his right foot, and say that fine, cross it. You can't come inside because of the fact that you barely have a right foot to talk about, right? So cross the ball in. Just cross. Just keep the crosses coming. Just keep them coming.
And you know what you're saying is symptomatic of a bigger problem.
Yeah.
And that is your team has stopped developing players. You've had such great players since Ferguson left, but your team has been unable to turn them into something bigger or better.
Exactly. But
I think it's only Fernandez who flourished.
Yeah. And I mean, like, whether it's we're talking about Anthony, whether we're talking about Dalot, whether we're talking about even Garnacho developed and then basically has ended up at a roadblock, right?
Yes.
there are several players in the Man United team that you'd be like, okay, now you've come to Man United, you need to go and take the next step. You need to go to the level above. So those players, for me, like as I said before, Anthony, Maguire, like literally hit the heights back in the first season. Hoyland, I mean, like to be fair with Hoyland, I think that a lot of strikers these days, not everyone can be a Messi or Ronaldo, and at the age of like 20 years old, they start like banging in goals like from absolutely everywhere. So I'm willing to give Hoyland some time. Let's not talk about Xerxes. It's not, but I'm not disappointed with Xerxes. I just think it's a first season thing. And
Yeah, he hasn't had enough time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that if Rashford had bothered, to turn up this season, if we offered him a new contract or his contract was coming to an end, maybe he'd be bothered to play football, But the Xerxes has to play a lot more because Rashford hasn't bothered.
That's true.
So he'd probably there a few players I'm willing to give like just a bit of like space, but across the board, Dallo I feel as if needs to be a better footballer than he is. Needs to be a more intelligent footballer than he is at this age. He's been at Man United for 6 years now. He's gone on loan. He has played with some of the best players, even if not at Man United, definitely in Portugal. So there's certain players who I'm not willing to basically be as charitable with as others. And it depends on the time that they've been there. So that's my view on that.
Okay, now I'm going to take you back to fantasy. Bills, as a Man United supporter, is it difficult to use your heart and your mind separately? I guess maybe with this season it's easier, but is it something that you struggle with?
This season is a lot easier because I'm just like, you know what? Let me just get the points. On the side, I brought in Isak before the Man United game. I brought in Gakpo before the Liverpool game. And I mean, like, both of them have delivered for me, so I can't be over here like complaining too much, can I?
So you're good at separating those two things.
Yeah, I am relatively good at just deciding that, you know what? Let me not say I'm good. I think it's because this season's a write-off.
Okay,
There's seasons in the past. I remember there was a season that, to be fair, Man United have been whooped so hard by Liverpool at certain points in the last X number of years that there was a particular season that I think Man United lost 5-0 at home. And I had Salah as my captain the week before, and I took him off as captain, and he scored a hat trick. And let me just say, it is a very recent adaptation to this season that I'm just like, you guys you're not going to do anything for me, or you're not going to score goals. So, let me just go with the ones who are going to score goals because I know what's going to happen with you. You're going to concede from a corner.
Party's not going to give me points, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Hearts are giving points. I've got competition against all these other guys over here, so let me stick to my competition. On the other hand, I would argue I probably do have two of my United standout performers in my team now. Ahmad and Mazrui. Since I brought in Mazrui,
he was good at the very beginning, and then
just he's got kept his belly. It's interesting for me because I think that he's probably still my United standout defender this year. And if Man United could learn that, corners don't another equivalent to penalties, he could be useful, because he does defend well. He really does defend well. So I'm hoping that going into the rest of the season, what's going to happen is, and this is the only reason why I've kept him. I bought him at 4.6. He's now at 4.4. So I've lost value. I think it's the only player in my team who has lost value. I'm hoping that Amarim will
pick up.
Yeah, and the Man United have not conceded direct from a corner since Bournemouth. So, was it Bournemouth? No, sorry, Wolves. The Wolves game. Oh, direct. That was actually direct. That wasn't like...
That was like literally...
Second time in the month of December that happened. I swear, I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't understand how that is possible.
No, you guys just need a set piece coach and things will be figured out.
But we do.
But
We've had there was a point also during Solskjaer's time where we couldn't stop conceding goals from corners, and we've got a set piece manager, and still now we're still as crap. But either way,
it's probably then a development issue.
yeah,
But getting back to fantasy now,
yeah.
I've noticed that when I look at it, I've looked at your team moving from like game week 1 up to now.
Yeah.
And I've seen you have no, I don't know what the right word is, but you're very easy with your captain choice. Because,
Yeah,
like,
right.
for example, there are a lot of people who I noticed, like, even in the first few weeks, you weren't captivated by Haaland. You kept switching between Palmer and somebody else and Haaland as well.
Yeah.
How do you determine who is going to be your captain?
Okay, so what I'd say about my captain choice is that it tends to go along these lines of the fixture that they have in front of them. Home teams tend to do better than away teams.
Okay.
I know that also there's some strikers, your Hurricanes, your Haalands, who when the season starts, those guys are hot.
Yeah.
Huh? And when I say hot, they're liable to get a hat trick on a regular basis in that first month.
Warning.
Without, as in, like they're just like in it, and then they'll slow down and now go back to being like us mere mortals, right?
Yeah.
So there are players like that I tend to understand, like, beginning of the season they're good, and also on top of that, they tend to be players who don't tend to go on international duty a lot generally. So those ones who basically I feel are a bit more energetic and a bit more hot for the season, I tend to play around a bit more there. At the moment, I've actually stuck with Salah for the last few weeks, and that's because when it boils down to it, when a man is only has only blanked twice this year, you kind of like have to be just like, all right, and I guess I'm gonna have to stick with you, aren't I?
Yeah, it's Captain Obvious.
Yeah, he is now, isn't he? So
Yeah, I was telling my brother the other day that
yeah,
if you don't have like for example, you see Man Utd are playing Southampton this week, and I wouldn't blame somebody looking at the squad and being like, okay, first of all, like you, for example, Mazri has to start that game, and then maybe you look at Ahmad and Fernandez and you're like, one of you is going to be my captain. I wouldn't mind that decision, but
yes,
when you have tricky fixtures where you don't know what's going to happen, just stick with Salah. That's my philosophy. Mine is just stick with Salah.
yeah,
We'll figure the rest out later.
he has been incredibly consistent, and I'm not seeing that changing soon. I'm waiting. There will be some double game weeks coming up at some point, and I plan on using the double game weeks for triple captain. Double game week will be an Everton game,
Yeah.
away, which is a bit tricky, I think.
Yes,
If
they've
they
kept
get-
clean sheet
Yeah,
against
Everton. Well, it really depends, right? With Everton, it really depends. I think that Jared Braithwaite is really, really like, if he's playing, they are probably 2 times, 3 times harder to beat Everton. I mean, if he's not, it depends on who bothers to turn up. I mean, like I don't respect like the other Everton defenders, but really I feel as if like Braithwaite like really leads them totally.
He's carrying the team on his back.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So
No.
that's
So have you used any of your other chips?
So I only used my wild card in week 12.
Oh, I saw you got 84 points from that. That was a great call.
Yeah.
When did you know what to use a wild card? When do you know?
Okay. So so basically what tends to happen is that I tend to make my decisions on who I am going to substitute and bring into my team for 2 weeks. So I don't do it on the basis of 1 week. I do it on the basis of 2 weeks. And that means that there's going to be 1 week that I'm not going to use a sub, right?
Yeah.
But that means that the following week I'll have 2 subs. Not 2 subs. I'll have 2 transfers.
Yeah.
So I kind of like feel as if like my team is always like bubbling along okay, in an okay disposition. You understand? So with that in mind, I kind of like made a decision, I think really quite early on, that I'd probably wait until like a third through the season to use the wild card.
Okay.
That was basically how I moved on that. It was just like, mathematics on it.
Yeah, for me, I use it. I have decided as of this season to be using it after the second international break. That's going to be Mallorca.
Okay. That's clever. You're looking at March.
No. Like what I mean is, at the beginning of the season, there are 2 international game weeks. I think there might even be 3. Like there's one in like November or something like that.
Yes.
There's the first one in September. I think there's one in October, and I think there's one in November. The one in October, mid-summer October, that's when I'll be using. Whenever the second international break is,
Yes.
that is when I'll be using my wild card.
I get you there.
Because last season, I thought I would use it at the end of the year. And then I went December 31st to use it. And then it turns out it expires on December 29th.
That's exactly, by the way, I remember, I actually remember listening to the podcast then. And you're the one who actually told me that that the wild card actually comes up twice in the season. So I was really getting rid of that. As in, like, I didn't realize, because last season I would have definitely used it earlier because I had a really, really hard start. But I see got better. And last season also, what do you call it? Haaland was cheaper, so I was able to have a team with Haaland and Salah.
No, last season it was beautiful. Last season was just beautiful. The prices were just so friendly.
Yeah.
And then they overcorrected.
Yeah. Oh, damn, they did. Oh my gosh, they have. And Salah's price can't stop going up. So, Isaac, we get to the moving.
I want him to leave.
I know, right? I get you soon. No Liverpool fans are going to be pissed off with that, but yeah, it might happen soon.
I know.
But
wait, I'm going to cut to you now.
Yeah.
Who has been your best performer this season? Or who is not named Salah?
Okay. Obviously, Palmer has been fantastic, but there was a period that I brought in Cunha.
Mm.
And I noticed that Wolves had a series of fixtures that was really friendly. And they didn't do well in all those fixtures, but Cunha was almost constantly scoring.
Facts.
And I brought him in right on time. I think it was like after, I can't remember, they played a big team, maybe an Arsenal or something like that. And then after that game, they had it was like 2s and 3s. But Cunha was like constantly getting goals. I got rid of Cunha before the Man United game, and Cunha really delivered for me. I mean, like, it was a bit of a pragmatic decision because I was like, I want to bring in Isaac. I have Raul Jimenez.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Raul at 5.5 million.
Yeah.
That difference in price between him and Cunha, it's 1.5, but it allowed me to have Isaac in the team.
Oh, so that's how you got rid of Cunha?
Yeah, that's when I got rid of.
So that means you got Raul after the ban. When Cunha was banned.
No. Raul I've had for a minute. I've had Raul for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. But I brought in Isaac before Raul. So Raul got sorry, Cunha got banned. God, I'm getting all his names confused. Cunha got banned this last game and the next game, right?
Yeah.
So
also you brought in
I brought in Gakpo. I brought in Gakpo for somebody else, for Jackson. So when I use my wild card, okay, let me make it a bit easier. When I use my wild card, I basically furnished my midfield with Buemo, Palmer, Salah, Saka. And then my budget midfielder was Ahmad. Even though I'd gotten rid of Ahmad, I had Ahmad at the beginning of the season, and he delivered some points for me. And then I got rid of him when Ten Hag started deciding that, you know what, I don't need your assists or your goals. So I had to get rid of him. But Ahmad at his value, 5 million, I don't see why I'm getting rid of him. You understand?
That's fact.
Yeah.
Because of him, and there was a time Endo was giving him a run for that 5.0, and now Jacob Murphy. Those are the 3 5.0 players that are doing really well.
Yeah. So in fact, not just Jacob Murphy. There's also Morgan Rogers.
Yes.
So,
but Morgan now 5.5ish.
Yeah, before what do you call it? Before my man Ten Hag decided to fall on his sword, he started he decided that he's not going to be playing Ahmad, even though Ahmad had really started the season hot. I started the season with Ahmad and Garnacho because I was like, he's going to start with both of them because I was like, Rashford is dead as far as I was concerned at that point. But I got rid of Garnacho really early. I stuck with Ahmad and then he stopped playing Ahmad. And then I was like, I moved to Morgan Rogers at that point. Morgan Rogers really delivered well for me too. I had to get rid of him, unfortunately, just because I can't remember who it is I decided to get, but I got rid of him. And then from there, as I said, when I used my wild card, I brought in Nico Jackson and I brought in Jimenez. I tell you who I got rid of. I obviously got rid of Haaland, but I also got rid of Chris Wood, who obviously has still been delivering points, right?
Yes.
But Chris Wood also delivered really well for me early in the year.
Me too.
But it was a bit of a bit of a price, like it was a negotiation point from that, from my perspective, as in like Jackson. Yeah, I know that Wood is scoring, but Jimenez was also scoring and at a lower price. So I was like, it's okay, as in like whatever Jimenez does. Every now and then I put Jimenez on the bench.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do 3-5-2. Sometimes I do 3-4-3.
Okay. So you're a believer in a strong midfield.
Yes, but also, I mean, like, it's a matter of fixtures. So this week, I would have gotten 2 more points if I had Ahmad on the pitch instead of having. In fact, to be fair,
Too painful.
yeah, as in like maybe 3 more points. In fact, if I'd taken out Isak, I would have had 3 more points. Isak was my lowest scoring midfielder striker positions.
Goodness. That's a nice problem. Mine, it's 8 more points because I brought in Enzo Fernandez instead because I thought, Crystal Palace.
Exactly. And
Points on the bench.
I decided after that Ipswich game that if you guys are going to have problems scoring against Ipswich, and they'd drawn the game before that also, I think Chelsea.
Yeah.
They'd drawn the game before that. I think they'd lost one before that. I don't know. I can't remember what Chelsea's.
Yeah, the form is not great right now.
It has been like literally like it's psychotic. The way that they were moving. The way they were moving before, and then now they've decided that no, we don't need points in the Premier League anymore.
Yeah, it's almost like they were declared contenders. They were like, no, let's correct everybody's period.
Exactly, right? But I can't stick. The Chelsea players I've looked at. So again, Chelsea. The part of the reason why I brought in Nico Jackson was because the run of fixtures was also really kind for Chelsea.
Okay. No, not bad. Yeah, it's what.
It was, yeah. And I think they're now heading into a bit more of a tougher one. But before that, it was really, really kind. But then now, if you're not going to deliver when the fixtures are kind, I'm not going to stick with you when the fixtures start getting harder. It doesn't make any sense to me. So that's part of the reason why I got rid of Nico Jackson also. And Newcastle's fixtures are looking good. And also on top of that, I think that one of my big things at the moment is if I see you playing Tottenham and Tottenham Hotspurs are put down as a 4 difficulty, right?
Yeah.
I downgrade that personally to a 2 because it's Tottenham Hotspurs. And I know that
they're completely unpredictable.
Completely.
But Tottenham is the only team that when they're playing, I believe they can win 4-0. And I believe they can be beaten 4-0. And it doesn't matter who they're playing.
Who it is. Could be
whoever they're playing, I believe they can beat them 4-0, and I believe they can be beaten 4-0.
Exactly. So my current disposition with Spurs is Spurs are a 2, so I don't worry too much about them. I know Man City are kind of back, but Man City are still a 3 for me without Rodri. But you still have to put some respect on Haaland's name, don't you? So, that's what they have in their back pocket. Man United are 2. Liverpool are the only fines.
No, that makes sense. So does that make Arsenal 4?
Arsenal are 4.
That's a fair rating.
That's my current disposition when it comes down to looking at fixture difficulty, even if it's supposedly really hard games. In fact, the other team is Nottingham Forest are a 4.
Oh yeah, like now I'm actually having a problem this weekend because a lot of my teams are playing each other, and I'm struggling. Like now, for example, I'm genuinely not thinking about captaining Salah
because it's Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, it's Nottingham Forest. They didn't beat them last time.
Yeah.
And they can be beaten again.
Yeah, you're right.
And the 2 from Salah is painful.
I completely hear you there. That's the last time he blanked.
Yeah, that is the last time he blanked.
Yeah, it's a very now.
time has passed, but you could also argue that Forest have become even better.
Yes, exactly. And let's not lie, defensively, they are really strong.
They are the best defense in the league.
Yeah. As in, like, no, it's not easy decisions over here. So for my team going into this week, I've currently got Jimenez on my bench.
How are you going to line up?
I am okay. So I've got Rares in goal. Oh, in fact, let's just talk about goalkeepers very quickly.
Okay.
When during that period when I used my wild card, I brought in Keller, who is a replacement goalkeeper for Liverpool, and he actually did some really good numbers for me.
He was amazing.
He was fantastic. And at the
Brilliant.
that he was at, with the defense that he has in front of him,
Yeah.
really, really smart move. But obviously now the issue that I have with Keller is that he's losing me value.
Oh, yes. He's not going to play until Alisson
He's
goes.
not going to play. Yeah. So unless Alisson gets injured, I might need to.
I know, crossing fingers, but I think he was even better than Alisson.
Yeah, yeah. So I had Flecken for a lot of the early season, and in fact, whenever Arsenal had a difficult game, I would switch him with Flecken. So I was like, I have to use all my subs, so might as well use Flecken for this game. But you know how Brentford's defense is. As good as the attack is, the defense can also be diabolically depending on.
I think they've kept maybe 2 to 3 clean sheets this season.
Exactly, it's been diabolical. You know, and I think 2 of them are against Southampton, but that's another issue altogether. So I do need to get rid of Keller at some point. But the season is so hot right now that I'm unlikely to do it, even though I like my team. And I think maybe apart from Mazrui, Lewis, I think I want to keep everybody else. They're the only options. So in defense, so for this coming week, I have Digna, Lewis and Mazrui in defense. Aston Villa playing Everton. Everton cannot hit a barn door from 5 yards out. So normally, most weeks, they're the team that are least likely to score. Lewis, it's against Brentford, and obviously this is the dilemma that you have, right? Because I've got Buemo in my team.
Yeah, there was a few tough pictures coming up.
Yeah, and I think that Buemo can score against that Man City defense.
I mean, he did the last time.
Yeah, exactly, right?
That was when it was going in the first minute.
Yeah, yeah. So I've still got question marks on playing Lewis. I've also got Mazrui, who Man United are playing against Southampton, and I'm hoping
that's an easy stuff.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that Amorim has them playing a bit like they did against Liverpool. If they do, they play anything similar to the way they did against Liverpool, Man United might be able to pull off a 3-0 there again, because I think they beat them 3-0 early in the year or something like that. Yeah. At the moment, I still have Salah captain, and I understand that. Yeah, but I understand the point you're making, right? I have Buemo, obviously. That's a dilemma. I have Palmer as my vice captain at the moment. I have Gordon as
sorry to interrupt. That week when Salah did not play, who was your vice captain?
Oh, my vice captain that week was Palmer. So Honey didn't roll.
Okay. Oh, okay. We will get together. Okay. Carry on.
Oh God, I was so happy that week, mate. Oh my goodness me. I was so happy when the game got cancelled and Palmer did what he did. Did you get a hat trick?
Yeah.
Or did you get like 2 goals and another?
It was just goals and like 2 assists and bonus points. It was
damn. It was it. Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't even think Salah would have gotten that.
I know. I agree with you. And then I've got Gordon. I am a bit tempted. I'm a bit tempted to play Gordon as captain. I'm not gonna lie. I'm feeling it a bit. They've got them at home and they've got Wolves at home.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what about Isak captain? You already have Isak. Why not have him as captain?
It's between him. I'm right now thinking between. If I don't go with Salah, it'll probably be Gordon or Isak. I've also got Ahmad in the team, right? I don't know how bad to go because I'm not. What do you call it? Jimenez. Oh, Lopetegui just got sacked. Huh?
Oh, he's just been sacked.
He's been sacked. And West Ham.
I don't know him at all.
Well, now West Ham are going to have a new manager, or they have a replacement manager, and that means I don't know what that does for Raul, but I'm really considering playing him. What I'm going to look out for, because what do you call it? The Fulham manager likes rotating Raul every now and then, and it's understandable considering the number of injuries Raul has had, right?
Yeah. Treat him like an egg.
Yeah, exactly, right? I'll be paying attention to whether or not he plays in the FA Cup. If he does play in the FA Cup, I'll probably keep him on the bench. If he doesn't play, I'm gonna bring him back in. And I've got Karkez and Milenkovic on the bench also.
Okay.
You know what you're
that
saying
makes sense.
earlier? Yeah, you know what you're saying earlier
About?
about how the dilemma in the team.
Yeah.
I'm very tempted by Karkez, and I'm not convinced by Palmer scoring this week.
That's
I
fair.
am sure Liverpool, after this last performance against Man United, are going to make sure that they get the win. I know it's Nottingham Forest, but so that's where my dilemma comes in. That's where I'm thinking about the Newcastle players, but at the same time, I'm thinking, let me, stick with Salah. I've got a few days to decide. I'll see what the managers do over the FA Cup weekend. And from there, I'll decide. Yeah.
Let me ask you another question.
Go ahead.
What advice would you give managers that are not performing well? You know, you're currently number 16. You're quite close to the top in a very tough league. In fact, you just left me with it. Game week, you've now left me a bit. We were fighting together. We were close to each other.
Kind of against each other for a while. And in fact, I remember you were like 20, 30, 25 points ahead of me, and I managed to pull away a little bit.
Yeah. So what would you give people who are struggling?
Okay. So the advice in the middle of the season is different than the advice at the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the season, you don't know what managers are going to do.
Hmm.
At this stage of the season, you know roughly what managers are going to do. You also know how teams are playing. At this stage, I'd probably just say, check out whatever Chris is doing and follow it. Chris, I don't know if they're in the same league. Chris Muduri?
Oh, okay. No, I
Yeah.
don't think he's.
He's not in this one, right? But sorry, he's in another one that we are involved in together.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, look at the person who's on top and copy them.
Yeah. You're struggling. Just go and take a look at what they're doing. Okay.
Yeah. Would you want them to copy you?
I mean, like, I'm not doing badly myself. And I think there's some people who are ahead of me who have used the wild cards. Right? Also, not the wild cards, who have used the triple captain. They use the triple
Yeah.
captain in that switch game.
Mm.
So really the gap is not as big as it might look.
Yep. And you're number 16. I mean, from number 1 to 12, it's just 30 points. So
Exactly. You know? So I think I'm not doing badly this year. I've paid a bit more attention this year to it than I have in the past. What would be my further suggestion? There is a lot of value this year in players priced a lot less than they should be. There's a lot of value out there. I think Enzo Fernandez,
pick you would recommend.
or obviously, firstly, Ahmad. We just go through the midfield. Ahmad, obviously. Morgan Rogers, without a doubt. I still favor Morgan quite a bit. I don't have him in my team, but I'm a big fan of his.
What about Murphy?
My problem with Jacob Murphy is injuries and consistency of performance or delivering points.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jacob Murphy might go through a hot patch like throughout January, right?
Okay.
And then decide that, he's forgotten how to pass the ball and, deliver assists February onwards. And he's done that several seasons. So, in fact, I think that the time has come maybe for actually another player altogether from Newcastle, Joe Linton. Joe Linton is a winter player. He likes the cold.
He likes the cold. He's when Renato Brazil.
The man hears winter is coming and he's like, I'm coming for winter.
He has arrived.
Yeah, I've arrived.
but Newcastle have figured something out. When they have Guimaraes, Tonali, and Joe Linton playing in that midfield.
Yeah.
They're really powerful in the center of the pitch.
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if like Man City come in looking for especially Bruno Guimaraes.
Yes.
Just to break it up.
Yeah. But I mean, like, Man City have to be concerned about whether or not they'll be in League 2 next year after these issues that they have. As in, like, Man City need to chill. I don't think. By the way, I think that's another issue that Man City have. They know there's a big punishment coming their way.
Yeah. You think it's affecting them on the pitch as well?
I think it's affecting them on the pitch because if the punishment is severe, which it should be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's been many years in which they've been doing this dubious stuff, right? The punishment is severe. They should disappear into League Two, and they should be forced to fight their way back. And also on top of that, relinquish all of their trophies, all their relinquish all of them. They're all fake trophies.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't, because like you see, for example, you can't take back Aguero. It was timeless.
You can't. You know what? You're very right. As a Man United fan, as in like that was like one of the most disappointing and saddest days in football for me. As in like I remember like just like being there like, oh, come on, we've won this thing, and then Aguero does that. Yeah, I know. You can't take away that feeling. I'm funny enough, I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues because he's a Liverpool fan, and there was another season in which Liverpool and Man City were literally a point apart from each other. Yeah, he was saying that even if Man City were to have all the titles taken away from them and they end up with like, I think Man City would end up with 2 more. Sorry, excuse me. Liverpool would end up with 2 more titles. It wouldn't be the same, as in like that feeling of, losing is still there with you, And that's the same thing for me as that year that Aguero scored that goal and Man United ended up losing that Premier League title. However, take it all away from them. As in like that, the way Man City have been cheating, take it all away.
I mean, like that's the thing.
My kids and my grandkids are not going to be out here like, oh, that's how it ended up happening. No. The record books will show that Man City did not win any of these Premier League titles.
It will be like in Italy with Calciopoli.
Yeah, exactly, right?
But the thing which is tricky for me is that, okay, fine, Man City, they spent unfairly, but they did the business. They did the business. Like
they had no right doing the business, considering the business they've done before.
What I mean is like for example, Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, we have all spent a bunch of money, but it hasn't really
legitimately.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, still, but with the money we spent, it didn't help us win.
Okay, I get your point.
And so yeah, like it's fine. Yeah, you can have all the money, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you will win.
I get the point you mean to make. However, none of those players should have been at Man City. None of them. None of the players who took them to the Premiership trophy should have been there. Yeah? They were cooking everything. Yeah? They were literally doing a Walter White.
A Walter White, huh?
They were literally doing a Walter White on it.
Okay, so now, let me ask you my final question.
Go ahead.
What is your current most unpopular opinion, or maybe your hottest take right now about football?
Nottingham Forest are going to win the Premier League this year. I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
That is a hot take.
And I tell you what's going to happen.
Tell me.
Nottingham Forest are going to beat Liverpool this week, even though I've got Salah as my captain. I don't tend to lose him. I think they'll probably win like 3-2. Okay? Salah is going to go through. Okay? When Nottingham Forest win this week, the gap would be what? 4 points? Or 2 points?
Yes, 4, 2, 3, something like that,
yeah. What's really going to end up screwing over Liverpool is that Liverpool are going to win the Carabao Cup. That means they're going to end up with more games coming up. So they'll have these next 2 games that they have. They'll have the Champions League, which I don't know if they'll win or not. I'm so confused by the new Champions League Cup format that I don't even want to talk about the Champions League right now. And also talk about that Man United are not in it, so I definitely don't want to talk about it. But yeah, I think the Champions League, between that, they've got Acton and Stanley in the FA Cup. And the question in the United Kingdom that follows that is, who are they? If anybody has YouTube, there's a whole advert about Accrington and Stanley in that from back in the day. It's an advert for milk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can check that out. But anyway, they've got Accrington and Stanley this week. They'll get through to the 4th round. These are all games that Liverpool now have. And I'm not convinced that Mo Salah can go the rest of the season without A, losing some form, or B, having at least a bit of an injury keeps him out for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. The question that follows from that is, can Liverpool win without Mo Salah?
That is a great question.
Okay.
What will Klopp do?
What will Slot do? And then after that, Chelsea are too inconsistent. Arsenal are scared of winning, literally petrified of winning. As in, like, the other day against Brighton, they literally were like, it's 1-1. And they were like, they're trying to hide the ball from Brighton. As in, like, if you're trying to win the Premier League, you should not be trying to hide the ball. You should have Raya up there, the goal, literally marking their goalkeeper. They're literally scared of.
And I'm hearing having two hot takes.
Yeah, I know, right? Arsenal being scared of winning. But every single Arsenal fan that's listening to this knows exactly what I'm saying. Now, the thing that I'd say is that there are really 3 teams in the Premier League. And I'll tell you who those, when I say teams, it's like, I know that Arsenal and Liverpool and Chelsea do well, right? But it goes back to the point I was making about them being kind of like one-man teams. Without this one player, they start looking weak, start looking ordinary. Teams, for me, teams are proper teams. They will operate regardless of who is in them and who is out of them. The 3 teams that really, really exist in the Premier League, and it's one is a recent addition, is Newcastle. Newcastle operate regardless of who is on the pitch.
Okay.
Bournemouth, I don't even know what Bournemouth are doing up there, having a nosebleed, but they're proper
More like the
hard for each other. Yeah. And Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest, you know, now.
I can get behind that, yeah.
Okay, now the thing about Nottingham Forest is that they have no other competition apart from the Premier League.
Yeah.
It used to be once every 20 years, you'd get a random team winning the Premier League. But who says it can't happen once every 10 years? And it's about time, really. It's 10 years since Leicester did it last time?
Mm-hmm. Just about.
10 years. It's 2015.
So time for Forest to
2020.
Reclaim their former glory.
Yeah. You know what? I would probably celebrate really, really hard. Not only because Liverpool would have lost it if Nottingham Forest win it, but also because I think I'd actually be really happy for Nottingham Forest. Having come
that would be a super story.
That would be an amazing story. And I tell you what, and if there's no football fan, regardless of who you support, you'll always be there, like, feeling kiwaru about your team not winning. But that would be an amazing story, as in, like, to be like behind Liverpool and then come back, and not only come back, you win the Premier League. The only other addition to that hot take is that there's the possibility that the Premier League is going to be won with under 85 points. That
would be interesting.
Yeah.
Can I tell you my hot take?
Go ahead.
Is a conspiracy to get Wolves relegated.
I can believe that.
So you feel like, if you look at last season,
they
got the most wrong calls. The FA Hugmore was always being like, oh no. And it started at the very first game of the season.
Yeah.
With Onana. I don't even remember that Man Utd Wolves. The first game.
I remember the very first game, yeah.
The Wolves were robbed. It was daylight. It's like the first game.
Yeah.
That was the Premier League telling us we're done with these guys. They got nothing, and we deserved. That was their game too. I mean, they should have won that game.
Yeah.
And they did not win the game because of calls being ignored. Then for whatever reason, that kept happening. And if you look at the stats, they got the most no calls and the most mistakes or goals against because of the most unfair things happened to Wolves.
Yeah.
Then they complained, nothing happened. And then now, if you look at this season, I don't know if you look at the fixtures, the first like 9 fixtures were against like the top 10 teams. Like, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. Like, it was like, what are we doing? And then if you look now at their fixtures, it's the same thing happening again.
Okay, so the fixtures do end up coming back around in the same way, right?
I know, but it's deliberate. Like, nobody else has this schedule where you're playing all these juggernauts right after the other. 1, 2, 3. They usually space out.
But in fairness, I mean, like, we did also just go through how they had, I think maybe from basically week 6 or 7.
Yeah.
They had one of the most favorable fixture lists that I've ever seen.
No, I agree with that. But you see, when you've been mentally damaged by all those losses.
And you end up now looking as if you're fighting for relegation. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Because if imagine if they started it the other way around, where it's like they've given them this easy start to the season and then they accumulate 30 points.
Yeah.
And then they play Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool. It'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so good that they played all these points because now that they're entering this difficult stretch, they're fine. But no, now it's like they start so difficultly and they end up in the relegation battle so quickly that every game is like, did Ipswich win? Oh no. Did Southampton? Oh no, now look, we're number 17. Oh, we're number 18.
Yeah.
As opposed from now they're fighting from a place of desperation instead of being in a place of comfort. And that, I think that messes you up mentally.
I get you there. But I mean, like, my theory on relegation, it's not just a matter of conceding goals. It's a matter of you being able to score goals. So the thing that will ultimately save Wolves is the fact that they can score. And in fact, even in games that they've been beaten, like even that 6-2 they were whooped by Chelsea early in the year, they still scored 2 goals.
Yeah.
And as long as you can score goals, you'll be able to get somewhere. Interesting thing for me, I had Ryan Aït-Nouri at some point. I was thinking about having 3 Wolves players, and then literally I got rid of Aït-Nouri after he got that red card, and then he came back and he got like 2 like clean sheets in a row, and then assist,
and then like, well,
2 assists after that, and oh man, it was diabolical. But
diabolical is the right word.
yeah, man, I was so annoyed with that guy. But I think that they have enough up front between Strand Larsen and Cunha. In fact, I think if you had to look up and down, basically all the way up through to even past Man Utd, there are very few teams that have as strong an attack as Wolves in that bottom half. And that is...
No, I agree. They have a very good forward that, like, if, God forbid, they get relegated, I wouldn't be surprised if Cunha ends up at a top 5 club.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can easily see Man United going for him, especially because we just don't know when our forwards don't seem to know where the goal is. So, or our attacking midfielders. And I think,
yeah, I mean, if he gets the best rate of Rashford, he would be great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it'd be really useful for Rasmus Højlund, actually.
No, I agree.
I believe that.
And he's more complete than any other forward you have right now.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Because he's less of a project.
Yeah. And he can finish from absolutely anywhere, as he showed against Man Utd. So,
he's a magic man, that one. Wizard.
Oh, yeah.
Brazilian wizard.
Yeah. Is it Brazilian or Portuguese?
It's Brazilian.
Oh, okay. I think it's Portuguese.
Yeah, I know. It's the same. Well, it's not the same thing, but
I know, man. Yeah, the same language.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so Pambi, I just want to thank you for coming on.
Oh no, this has been excellent. Thank you so much for inviting me, my man. As in, like, we said 1 hour, we've done 2. So
yeah, it's been a long one, but
you get
fun.
You get nights talking about football, and you never know what's gonna happen next.
Exactly, time just disappears.
Exactly. But thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really, really grateful.
Yep.
I've been
and I'm thankful because you're my first interview of the season, and so get up in there, and we will keep talking.
Yeah, if you want to bring me back when Nottingham Forest end up top of the league, just tell me.
By the way, when that happens, or if that happens, we're doing that interview, and it's just going to be told I told you so. Yeah. I'll be the title. I'll cut all the snippets and put it up and be like, soothsayer.
I'm looking forward to the banter, my man.
All right.
All right. You take care.
Thank you so much. All right.
All right. Thank you, mate. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.